Hey, so at the time of this recording, it will be May 12th when it's uploaded, which is my birthday. And what a better birthday present than having the next Bitcoin block reward halving on my birthday. Now, if you guys don't know what this is going to be happening May 12th at roughly May 11th for us, but it's going to be May 12th UTC time, which is actually in Portugal's time. Now, why is this important? This is the third halving ever for Bitcoin. And what it does is cuts the new supply of Bitcoin that are mined every day in half. Now, why is this huge? Well, that means the inflation rate for Bitcoin is going to be cut in half. It's going to be lower than the inflation rate for gold. It's going to be less than 1% a year going forward, starting May 12th on my birthday. So that's great. So now instead of, we could see it now instead of, where did it go? 1800 Bitcoin? Where is that? 1800 Bitcoin mined a day, it's only going to be 900. Now, why is this a big deal? Well, if you look over here, if you do the math, that's roughly $18 million, assuming the price of Bitcoin is 10,000. $18 million of value is added every day to Bitcoin's market cap. And in order to keep the same level of price for Bitcoin, it has to have $18 million new inflow a day. Now, after May 12th, after my birthday, it's going to be cut in half. It's going to go down to 900 new Bitcoin a day, which is going to be roughly 9 million a day, assuming that it stays at the current prices. Now, this may not sound like a lot for hundreds of billion-dollar asset class like Bitcoin, but over long periods of time, this $9 million difference is going to have huge impacts. You can just see, what is that? $3 billion. It's going to have billions of dollars worth of impact over the long run. It's not going to happen overnight. And this is normally what happens after the halving. Normally, after the halving, we see a dump in the Bitcoin price because there's a lot of hype around the Bitcoin halving, and we see massive bull runs up to it, and then it should go down in the short term before it goes on a parabolic run. Now, the reason for this is because the miners are going to be losing lots of money. It's going to be really hard to make money mining, so all these miners are going to have to liquidate all their assets and sell it on to the blockchain and get rid of their Bitcoin in order to stay afloat. Otherwise, their business will go under. The reason why this Bitcoin halving is huge is because now the miners have to compete a lot more, because if it costs them like roughly $5,000 in computing power to mine one Bitcoin, and if they're selling it for 10,000 and now the Bitcoin that they're going to receive is cut in half, it's a lot harder. A lot of people are going to drop out, but this is going to be good in the long run because now we're going to have the best computers running to operate these nodes. Now, so immediately we're going to see a short dip. I'm not saying it's going to happen, but normally that's what happens. We're only on our third halving, which is historical. So you could say that you were around before Bitcoin's third halving if you got in right. And that's going to be huge one day. Now, another thing, why this is important, there's a stock to flow model, which has been created a long time ago. I don't know, like 5 or 6 years ago. It's a long time in Bitcoin's term, but it's 99% accurate. And what we see is that after the halving, the price tends to go parabolic with that. And the model is predicting by 2021 that we're going to be at roughly $80,000, $90,000 per Bitcoin. Personally, I think we're going to go through something like a super cycle, which is going to bring it up even more because of our current economic state, which I'm going to be talking about. So just keep in mind, this thing has been 99% accurate, historically speaking. And if it is continues to be accurate, we're going to be seeing $100,000 Bitcoin in the next 2 years. And this is huge. If you want to buy it, because you're only buying it right now, it's only I think it's $8,000 right now at the time of this recording. So this is going to be huge. You can make a lot of money in this. So moving on to my next point. We see the US debt level has finally reached $25 trillion, and the debt clock is ever increasing by the day as the Federal Reserve prints roughly $1 million a second that's added to the economy. And what does that do? That steals from you guys. It steals from the people that are holding their money, saving their money. If you work on a wagely or annual basis, the value of your dollar is going to go down. So this is not good. And we could see that since COVID, it's gone up so much. We were at 23 trillion, now we're at 25 trillion dollars. This is going to take years upon years to get out of debt like this. Hundreds of years. It's not going to happen overnight. And the only way it could happen overnight is if the government just prints its way out of it. So you just got to be aware of that. Another thing, the employment levels have reached an all-time high of 15%. And why is this important? Well, we've never seen unemployment levels this high since the Great Depression. So it just shows you that we're in unprecedented territory and we don't know how the markets are going to react. That being said, I'm going to talk about Warren Buffett. Warren Buffett actually just sold out of all of his airline stocks, taking a loss of billions of dollars. And these were one of his major positions. And it really goes to show you a person that says never lose money. That's the only rule, basically. And he's losing money. He's selling out because he doesn't see the current economic conditions remaining the same. He doesn't think this is going to just go away in the next 2 years. He thinks the whole economy and the whole world is going to be changed forever. People aren't going to go back to just living a normal life. This unemployment rate is not going to go down as soon as states are no longer in quarantine. It's going to have a long-lasting impact, and we have to be aware of this. That being said, he didn't even buy. He says, another quote he says is, "Be fearful when others are greedy." And his company, Berkshire Hathaway, has not invested a single dime during this dip, which we saw a 33% decrease. So he's expecting the economies to tank. So just keep that in mind. He's sitting at roughly $160 billion for Berkshire right now. And while the dip happened, he did not buy a single thing. This is one of the world's richest men and the best investor, arguably, of all time. So we got to keep that stuff in mind. Another thing, Paul Tudor Jones, which is a famous American hedge fund manager, actually just started buying Bitcoin for his hedge funds. Now, he's a billionaire, $5.1 billion. His word definitely means something if he did that all by himself. So now he's investing in Bitcoin, and I think in the next years coming, we're going to see other big name investors go into Bitcoin. So rather than join the herd, you should get ahead of it. If you watched my latest video before this, I told you the reasons why you should buy Bitcoin and what it is and what it's about. So, moving on, here's my other one. Ray Dalio, who is worth $18 billion. He is saying that he thinks we're going to go through a new kind of global change in our monetary system. He does not think that the US dollar is going to remain the number one asset across the world. And basically, he's even been quoted saying that cash is trash. I think I went over this earlier in my other video, but he's saying cash is trash because they're just printing it into oblivion. Something like Bitcoin. Once it reaches 21 million, it's going to be done forever. Now, we only have 3 million Bitcoin left to go, and there's only going to be 900 new Bitcoin added a day. So the inflation rate's going to go down to 1.7%. Half of this, I don't really know what that is. 1.8 something. And this is going to be crazy. And after another 4 years, it's going to be cut in half again, and it'll be down to less than 1%. Every year, the inflation rate on Bitcoin goes down and down, whereas every other asset keeps continuing to go up. Now, that's all I have for today, but just remember this day right here is going to be huge.
It's going to be huge.